Hey, aloha kakahiaka, aloha and good morning to you. It's me, Ka'iulani. And yes, I shaved my head again. I'm still mourning for my best friend and dear mentor, Uncle Hank Fergestrom, who passed away. And you can check Uncle Hank out by putting in your search engine on YouTube. You can type in Uncle Hank question everything, or you can type in Uncle Hank Public Law 103-150. Hey, good morning to you. It's Ka'iulani, and what a day I've had. And sorry the video, last video was so late. I'm having some internet issues, and I know Mokala, and we pay out the kime for internet here. And that's just how it is. If you live up off the grid like I do, that it is what it is. Also this morning I've had dogs running amok and all kinds of adventures going on. And I'm about to receive 10 more dogs from Rainbow Rescue Sanctuary. They're moving from Waimea. So wish me luck on that, because I'm one person running my dog thing up here. But boy, I sure do love dogs. Anyway, if you like my channel and you like what I'm doing, please like, share, and subscribe. I'm trying to get back into broadcasting for the Hawaiian people. Songs of Sovereignty, our Kia'i News Network. Oh, and by the way, I wanted to show you my earrings. These are made by my dear friend Kae'e Victor's son, Michael Nizo. You can get them at nizohigh.com. He's got all kinds of wonderful educational tools. Just gorgeous site. Check him out, nizohigh.com, and I'll put it below in the description. Also, I've been watching what's been going on in Congress and stuff. I decided to wear pearls so I could clutch them when I'm reading this. Because as you remember last episode, I got pretty triggered. And every time I read it, I get triggered. And I'm pretty sure Ann Keala Kelly, who actually wrote this, must have been weeping as she wrote these words. One of the cool surprises you get with this cool little book, it comes with a bookmark with a beautiful picture of our most gorgeous, distinguished, beautiful, elegant, intelligent Queen Liliuokalani, and her famous saying underneath, "You must never cease to act because you fear you might fail." Comes with this book. It's a nice little surprise. And you can get this book, Our Rights to Self-Determination, a Hawaiian Manifesto by Ann Keala Kelly, at kuleanaworks.com. So I want to say thank you to Sister for putting this book together for us, because it must have been really difficult to write this. But it's a straight shot, easy read. Anyone that you know that doesn't understand what's happening here will in an hour of reading this book. It's written in a very non-threatening manner, just straight facts. And I believe with all my heart, that all the schools should have this book. It should be taught in the colleges. It should be a prerequisite so that everyone here understands what the native rights are here. And all of the natives here understand what the native rights are here. And Keala, I picked you some flowers, plus we needed rain, and it really does work. This is lehua, and there's so many varieties. I want to tell you the Latin word for ohia lehua is Metrosideros polymorpha. Polymorpha because there's thousands of varieties of ohia. And I live in an ohia forest. It's an amazing tree, something else you might want to check out. You can learn all kinds of stuff from me because I got lots of time on my hands. We talked about in this book what self-determination is, because right out the gate, Keala writes, quoting the Oxford English Dictionary, determination of one's mind or will by itself toward an object, or the action of a people in deciding its own form of government, free determination of statehood postulated as a right. In our previous episodes, we spoke about the two competing narratives here in Hawaii. one that's Hawaiian and one that's saleable. Because I don't think it's only Americans that participate in the other narrative. There's the truth and the saleable truth. We talked about how instead of freedom, Hawaiians experience layer upon layer of oppressive forces that steadily erode our ways of belonging and knowing what it means to be Hawaiian. I'm clutching my pearls because it's true. One irrefutable fact about our history is that the Hawaiian people never wanted to be American. There has never been a point in time when that wasn't true, including right now. We spoke about our ali'i and how our ali'i got us electricity here in our palace 4 years before the White House. Princess Kaiulani went through the ceremony of flipping that switch on. Can you imagine? And the lights turned on here in Hawaii, A'ole in Washington. We talked about the overthrow and how Liliuokalani woke up one day, and by the end of that day, her country had been taken from her. We talked about the white supremacy that played into what happened. This country was the first country admitted by the Family of Nations, first non-white country admitted to the Family of Nations, which of course was the precursor to the UN, fully recognized as a free, neutral, sovereign state. Treaties with countries all over the world, most especially America. Show us the treaty, America. You broke it and you have no treaty of annexation. So we talked about all of this stuff. And, you know, I could easily get sucked back into this because I was so triggered. But you got to get the book and read along. And if you want to see a recap, go back and watch my last episode of 9/11 episode of our rights to self-determination. Let's talk about a little book of sovereignty. So we're going to pick up on page 24, President Clinton's so-called apology. Take one Uncle Sam-sized stride forward from the beginning of the lie, when those Marines trooped their way through downtown Honolulu to the year Bretta is recorded, Hawaii 78, and you will find President Clinton acknowledging the United States' role in the overthrow. On November 23rd, 1993, Clinton signed a joint resolution of Congress known as the Apology Resolution. United States Public Law 103-150, 107 Statute 1510. He smiled and posed for pictures with Hawaii's congressional delegation, all of whom appeared to be quite proud of themselves. And that was odd to Hawaiians who, at that time, were almost two decades into a modern-day sovereignty movement. Earlier that year, on January 17th, to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the overthrow, I want to insert something here. Uncle Hank Fergestrom took his tent, as he does every single year, and camped on the palace grounds. Uncle Hank Fergestrom. So you can look up his video about Public Law 103-150, Uncle Hank Fergestrom, and how he kind of started us getting to the palace. Because for years and years and years, he would take his tent and go camp. And some of us would go camp with him. And at first it was smaller and smaller. But on the 100th anniversary, 20,000 Hawaiians marched through the streets of Honolulu and held a rally at Iolani Palace. When Professor of Hawaiian Studies, Haunani K. Trask, stepped up to the microphone, she commanded those in attendance and the generations that have followed since to remember who we are. She shouted, "We are not American. We are not American. We are not American. We are not American. Say it in your heart. Say it when you sleep. We are not American. We will die as Hawaiians. We will never be Americans." I was there. It was a pinnacle moment in a 100-year-long history of Hawaiian resistance, a fierce unraveling of the American paradox that has ensnared Hawaiians since the overthrow. After decades of coerced assimilation, Hawaiians were speaking out about our rights with a new voice. The word sovereignty was on the lips of nearly every Hawaiian in Hawaii and thousands more in the diaspora. So Clinton's apology was confusing, especially to kupuna elders who remembered her queen. Post-overthrown until her death in 1917, Liliuokalani lived in a house across the street from Iolani Palace. And the palace, as far as Hawaiians are concerned, isn't just the site of our national heritage. It's hallowed ground where our queen was imprisoned for 8 months by American-sponsored terrorists. Yes, we are an ancient people, but there's nothing ancient about what was done to our queen. And Hawaiians experience genealogy and history in the present tense. We are still here, and we are still who our kupuna were. They live in us. The same holds true for our national identity. When we say the queen, we mean Liliuokalani. When we say the kingdom, we mean the Hawaiian kingdom or the Hawaiian nation. We mean not American. Kalamai. And our kupuna are dying with no justice. Some of them living on the streets, dying in poverty. But what really baffled Hawaiians about Clinton's so-called apology is why a thief who is still in possession of the stolen goods would admit to the crime and then paper it. That resolution was a confession to the destruction of an internationally recognized nation-state's government whose land and sovereignty the confessor of said crime took possession of 5 years later. It's a rare thing for the President of the United States, in conjunction with the legislative branch of government, to admit that their country stole the sovereignty of another country and then commit that declaration to law. It may actually be the only time in history such a thing has occurred. Of course, it turned out that the whole endeavor was just a presidential legislative sleight of hand. The resolution implied acknowledgement of Hawaiian rights, but true to Jefferson's, quote, wolf by the ear, quote, metaphor, it was used to tighten America's grip on the Hawaiian nation. That word, quote, apology, quote, masked the bill's true intent, which was done to redefine or dilute Hawaiian nationality. Because by addressing that fake apology only to Native Hawaiians, rather than Hawaiian Kingdom citizens, it reframed the overthrow solely through the lens of indigeneity. That's a very interesting word. You should look it up. Indigeneity. Indigenous. What does that mean? The kingdom's citizenry, though mainly indigenous, included Europeans, Asians, Africans, white Americans, Latin Americans, and former African American slaves, which the Queen had abolished slavery way back when here, way before the United States. What Clinton did in 1993 was deepen the Nietzschean abyss Hawaiians have been staring into since 1893 by furthering the obliteration of Hawaiian nationality via U.S. law. I'm going to say that again. What Clinton did in 1993 was deepen the Nietzschean abyss Hawaiians have been staring into since 1893 by furthering the obliteration of Hawaiian nationality via U.S. law. Although Hawaiians exist in the context of our lived experience, the American agenda is to meticulously manufacture opportunities to decontextualize us. Here is an abbreviated list of laws and policies imposed on Hawaiians, either directly by the U.S. or enabled by the U.S. Under international law, these and other efforts add up to an ongoing campaign of ethnocide against Indigenous Hawaiians and an inventory of violations against citizens of a nation state. I need a blast of coffee for this one. It's heavy stuff. We're living it. Every Kanaka alive today is a hero. Even if you're not playing fair, we're still alive. And someday we're going to pull it together. We're going to figure it out. This book will help us. I promise, or I wouldn't be sharing it with you. In 1893, January 16th, the U.S. Minister Plenipotentiary, Ambassador to Hawaii, John L. Stevens, orders the U.S. Marines ashore in Honolulu to participate in the coup that ousted Queen Liliuokalani and her government. 1895, Land of Act. 1895, repeals inalienable crown lands. 1896, Hawaiian language banned from schools. 1898, U.S. Congressional Joint Resolution to annex Hawaii. 1900, the Hawaiian Organic Act creates the territory of Hawaii. 1921, Hawaiian Homes Commission Act establishes the 50% blood quantum rule. That's some apartheid shit. 1959, Plebiscite Vote and Admission Act to make Hawaii the 50th state. Ugh. The United States files fraudulent plebiscite report within the United Nations. UN removes Hawaii from the list of non-self-governing territories to be decolonized in 1978. Creation of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. 1993, the Apology Resolution acknowledges U.S. responsibility for the overthrow, but offers no return of Hawaiian rights or land. 2000, Rice versus Cayetano, SCOTUS defines Hawaiians as a race, thus invalidating Hawaiian-only voting for OHA trustees. The Native Hawaiian Government Reorganization Act, Akaka Bill, to establish a racially defined Native Hawaiian federal tribal entity. Not only was Clinton's apology an utter deviation from the truth of Hawaiian parity with the United States, it set the stage for permanent entombment of the Hawaiian nation through federal Indian law, parts of which read like the rules for race extermination. To all my Anishinaabe out there, that's what they want to do to us, what they're doing to you, Anishinaabe. They want to do to Hawaiians too. That's why we're resisting, and we deeply appreciate your support. I'm going to read that last sentence again. Not only was Clinton's apology an utter deviation from the truth of Hawaiian parity within the U.S., it set the stage for permanent entombment of the Hawaiian nation through federal Indian law, parts of which read like rules for race extermination. The book is Our Rights to Self-Determination, a Hawaiian Manifesto by Ann Kealakelli. Comes with a beautiful picture of our queen, who the Americans mocked upon the theft of our country. This is who she truly was, not the monkey they portrayed her to be. And if any honest American is seeing this video, I hope you'll share it and share it and share it. And I hope you'll watch the other videos so that you understand what your country has done to my country and my people. We are not Americans. We are not Americans.